U.S. President Donald Trump was asked whether he'd support NATO countries shooting down Russian aircraft if they enter NATO airspace. In recent weeks, alliance members Poland, Romania, and Estonia have reported Russian fighter jets and drones flying over their territory. Here's some of what Trump had to say in an exchange with reporters at the United Nations.
Would you back up NATO allies? You said that you thought that they should shoot down the Russian aircraft. Would you back them up? Would the United States help them out in some way?
Depends on the circumstance, but we're very strong toward NATO.
For more on this, I want to bring in Marcus Kolga. He's a senior fellow at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute and the founder and director of DisinfoWatch, a platform dedicated to monitoring foreign disinformation. And I just want to point out what he also said in another question, Marcus. He was asked, should NATO countries shoot down aircraft that enter their airspace? Do you support that? He said, yes, I do. I mean, you can't get more clear than that. He was a little bit more it depends on the circumstance on whether the U.S. would back it up with U.S. aircraft or U.S. military, but he did kind of green light the concept, or did say he thought that it would be okay if Poland, for instance, or Estonia or another NATO country shot down a Russian aircraft, whether it be a drone or a fighter jet coming into its airspace. What do you make of that?
Well, look, I'm sure that those countries on the front lines with Russia, that includes Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Finland, others, Romania, as you mentioned. These are countries that are more than happy to hear that the U.S. president would support the defense of their airspace, which is also NATO airspace. But it's, again, difficult to understand whether Donald Trump is going to stick to this view tomorrow or the next day. But what is clear is that our NATO allies, Poland, the United Kingdom, obviously Estonia as well, have made it very clear that if any Russian flying objects, I think the term was put out there by the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, that Poland will shoot down any flying objects without discussion when they violate Polish territory. And Poland did so last week when 20 Russian drones flew into Poland. Those were shot down by both Polish and NATO aircraft. And so we've already done this. And so getting that reassurance, that support from our allies is key for those frontline nations.
Was it surprising to you, Marcus, though, because the U.S. president, he can be mercurial. He can be, it's hard to always know what his position exactly is when it comes to his support for NATO, what he thinks of Russia's war on Ukraine. He often talks about people dying on both sides.
Well, I don't think that our allies are going to simply rely on President Trump's word. Donald Trump announced that the United States would be pulling its funding for a longstanding military support project for the Baltic states just a few weeks ago. So I'm not sure that Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, or even Poland are going to be banking on U.S. support. I think what is clear is that they can bank on the NATO resolve amongst our other allies without the United States. As I said, Poland has made it very clear that they will be shooting down any sort of objects that fly into its airspace. Their foreign minister, Radoslav Sikorski, said in the UN yesterday, supported Estonia doing the same. And the British Foreign Secretary stated her support and her country's support for similar action in defending NATO skies. So I think that our allies are counting more and more on each other, including Canada. I think that the unity amongst those allies stands strong, even though Russia continues to test the resolve of NATO. And so going forward, I think NATO is strong and has demonstrated its strength over the past 2 weeks.
Do you think that President Trump just saying this and saying, yeah, he supports this notion, is that a deterrence for Russia to send more drones, more aircraft into NATO airspace?
It may or may not be. I mean, the U.S. president invited President Putin to Alaska just about a month ago, clearly re-legitimizing him on the international stage. So I'm not sure how the Russian government views the United States right now, given the inconsistencies in its messaging and its policy. And that's why it's so important that NATO, the rest of NATO, does send a strong message. And that includes Canada as well. And that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Does this make the situation more potentially dangerous if we have, Russia continuing to sort of test the limits? And let's say one of these NATO countries in Eastern Europe does, in fact, shoot down a Russian fighter jet.
Well, Andrew, I think that we can expect continued escalation, continued probing by Russia. I mean, if we look back over the past few years, going back to even 2007, when Russia first tried to destabilize Estonia's government, there has been a steep escalation ever since then. And certainly we've seen an escalation of these efforts by Russia to probe NATO's resolve over the past number of weeks. And I think that we just have to anticipate that Russia will continue to do that. And it will continue. Vladimir Putin will continue to do that until we demonstrate that we will react with force, that we will remain strong and we will remain united. And that means whenever drones enter NATO airspace, we need to stand together. We need to take action and take down those drones. And there's now a very clear warning that any aircraft entering NATO airspace will also face similar consequences. And it wouldn't be the first time for a NATO country to shoot down a Russian aircraft violating their airspace. We saw this happen in Turkey in 2015 when the Turkish Air Force, an F-16, shot down a Russian fighter jet that it had flown into its territory from Syria. So it's happened before. Russia will foot stomp when it happens. But given the situation, given its weakness due to its ongoing 3.5, nearly 4-year invasion of Ukraine, I don't think that we should really be all that concerned about how Russia might react there. I think we should be more concerned about what the consequences of inaction against Russia might be.
Marcus, thank you. Marcus Kolga is the founder and director of Disinfo Watch.